Thanks for having me here, Ipsos. My name is Afdhel Aziz. I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. I want to spend the next 15 minutes with you talking about the idea of purpose as well. As Manika mentioned, I wrote this book called Good is the New Cool, Market Like You Give a Damn, which came out in 2016, which is all about the idea of purpose-driven brands. I also write about this topic for Forbes as well. I do this via Conspiracy of Love, which is our social purpose consultancy, a proud member of the B Corp community, and we get a chance to work with some incredible brands like the ones you see here on this screen. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our next book that's coming out that I've co-authored with Bobby Jones called The Principles of Purpose. It's based on 5 years of research that we've done, both through Conspiracy and also through the work we do with Forbes, that looks at companies like Tesla, Patagonia, and Microsoft, Lego, and others, and examines how they're harnessing the power of purpose for growth. It's really a handbook for CEOs who are looking to transform their organizations into purpose-driven ones. So when we talk about this idea of purpose, here's how we look at it. There's these three tectonic shifts that are all affecting companies happening at the same time. One is the rise of conscious consumers who want to buy products and services from companies that do good. Two is the rise of what we call activist employees who are really feeling like they have the right to challenge their leadership and talk about the values of a company and how a company should behave. And thirdly, it's the rise of impact investors on Wall Street and private individuals who want to see social impact alongside financial returns in the companies that they invest in. So let's talk about each of these briefly. The rise of the conscious consumer. I've been a brand marketer for 25 years. I've never seen numbers like this. By pretty much every single metric you look at, whether it's trial, advocacy, or price premium, consumers are willing to switch brands, advocate on behalf of, and pay a price premium for purpose-driven brands as well. You're seeing this translate into growth. This is the Kantar Purpose 2020 study. Brands recognized for high commitment to purpose have grown more than twice the rate of others. You're seeing this in the arrival of two new generations, millennials and Gen Z, entering the consumer base. Millennials alone have a global annual spending power of $2.5 trillion, and 95% of them would switch to a brand that supported a good cause in an authentic, meaningful manner. It's summed up in this great quote from the writer Ann Lappy: every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. Secondly, when we look at consumers and employees, you're seeing the rise of the activist employee, where we say purpose and a paycheck is the new normal. 64% of millennials won't take a job if their employer doesn't have a strong CSR practice. 85% of Gen Z employees believe that companies have an obligation to help solve social problems. So we say if you want to future-proof your company for the next two generations of talent, you have to make sure you show them how their work ladders up to something more than just a quarterly profit goal. You're also seeing the rise of what we call the activist employee, whether that's employees at Google, Amazon, or Adidas, openly challenging their leadership when they feel like they're behaving in a way that isn't in line with their values. This is backed up by data. Edelman's Trust Barometer is fascinating. 68% of consumers, 62% of employees believe they have the power to force corporations to change. 50% of those employed feel like they're more likely now than a year ago to voice their objections to management or engage in workplace protest. And then finally, when you look at investing, you're seeing the rise of the impact investing. This is Larry Fink, the chairman and CEO of BlackRock, who for the last 3 years has come out and said some variation of this message. Profits are in no way inconsistent with purpose. In fact, profits and purpose are inextricably linked. And when you look at individual investors, it's fascinating to see how every single age cohort from boomers to Gen Z are saying that they are either currently invested in or plan to invest in socially responsible investments in themselves. I personally have a green 401k, which has no fossil fuels in it whatsoever. And we're starting to see the rise of more and more products like that coming into the market. The reason is because there is now a strong correlation between being ethical and stakeholder focused and having a higher return. This is the Tory Project, a fascinating 20-year study of the S&P 500. The most ethical and stakeholder focused brands, the one in yellow at the top, outperformed the S&P 500 in red This is an incredible survey. I hope you go and take a look at it yourselves. All of which may be why you're seeing things like the Business Roundtable announcement. 181 of America's leading CEOs say shareholder value is no longer their main objective in the world. Again, you're also seeing the rise of people saying we expect CEOs to publicly speak out about these societal challenges, whether it's the pandemic, job automation, or societal issues. People really want CEOs and businesses to step in and fill the void that government can't or won't fix. 68% CEOs should step in when the government does not fix social problems. 66% CEOs should take the lead on change. And I love this. 65% feel that CEOs should hold themselves accountable to the public and not just the board of directors or stockholders as well. This is all from the Edelman Trust Barometer, as I mentioned. So oftentimes when we're talking about this topic, it gets confusing to think about all the terminology that's out there. And this is how we see it at Conspiracy of Love. You've had all these disparate, siloed places where purpose has been manifesting itself inside companies, towards shareholders, it's the ESG movement, towards consumers, it's cause marketing, towards employees, it's D&I. All of these things are now kind of coalescing into this larger rope of purpose as well as the umbrella term. And what we uncovered in our book, The Principles of Purpose, is this effect that we call the purpose flywheel effect. Some of the most successful companies on the planet have learned how to lead with purpose, to attract the right talent by having a clear, noble, overarching purpose. Then engaging their employees to work with purpose, to liberate them, to come to work with their full selves. And then finally, you're seeing this manifest in marketing with purpose in terms of new product innovation, new initiatives, new business models that lead to profitability as well. What drives the purpose flywheel? This is what we've spent the last 5 years looking at. These are the principles of purpose, 9 of them that every CEO we believe should know. I won't go through every single one of them. I'm going to talk about 3 in particular, starting with this. Purpose needs to be built inside out. By what we mean by this is before a company starts going out and trumpeting to the world how the world should behave or how the world should be, it really needs to do the work internally to make sure it has everything buttoned down in terms of how it treats its employees and how it has maintained things like gender equality, ethnic equality as well across the board. This is not only the right thing to do, it's also the smart business thing to do. This is the Harvard Business Review. Companies with above average diversity have 19% higher innovation revenues. That's why we say diversity is the only global growth strategy. If you want to be a global company and you want to sell your products and services to the world, you better make sure you have people inside your company in leadership positions who understand the nuances of communicating with them and have insights into their culture as well. The second is purpose is about picking your swords and shields. And this is language that's been around inside Unilever, incredible purpose-driven company for a very long time. A shield is a defensive issue. Sustainability and D&I are now defensive issues that every company needs to have a plan in place and needs to have a good kind of a reputation around. The sword is what really gets us interested at Conspiracy of Love. The sword is the problem in the world that you seek to try and fix. Here's an examples of some of the brands we work with coming up, but this is our process that we use to take brands on a journey to find out what their swords and shields are. We go and look at the internal landscape. We look at the origins of the brand. We talk to the leadership. We talk to the employees. That establishes what the company is uniquely positioned to do. And then we go and look at the 5 C's on the right: consumers, the competition, collaborators, sometimes speaking to challengers who may be against what your company is about, and looking at culture as well. And at the intersection point is really your brand's, our company's purpose as well. Brands that we've been privileged to work with in the last year or so: Ritz, a fascinating 100-year-old brand whose purpose is around making the world a more welcoming place. We were able to help them partner with Feeding America to make the school lunchroom a more welcoming place right at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, when kids were in danger of losing the one meal a day that they had access to. We partnered with Triscuit, another incredible brand with a long history of nourishing America. We found a social purpose for them around food deserts or food apartheid, tackling the problem that 1 in 19 Americans live in a place with no access to fresh, healthy, nutritious food. Sour Patch Kids, one of our favorites to work on, who made a commitment in the wake of last year's racial injustice protests to put $1 million into historical Black colleges and universities. And we were able to partner them with the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and basketball superstar Chris Paul. So each of these are examples of finding something that's right for the brand, right for the commercial objective, right for their consumer as well. The final topic is purpose must be profitable to be sustainable. This is business, not philanthropy. So it's really essential to think about the growth and business model that you can put around it. A company that has done a terrific job about it that we talk about in the book is Adidas, who have created an entire business unit around ocean plastic. The shoes you see on the bottom left are made out of ocean plastic trash. Adidas started by selling 7,000 pairs of them a few years ago, but rapidly have scaled up to be selling 11 million pairs in the last couple of years. If you do the math on this at an average retail price of $200+, that's a cool $2 billion that Adidas is now reaping in by solving one of the biggest problems in the world, that of ocean plastic. As summed up in this great quote from Peter Diamandis, the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities. Adidas isn't stopping there. They've gone beyond to declare that they're going to end plastic waste in their entire supply chain. They are launching clothes with recycled plastic as well. They vowed to reduce the amount of virgin plastic they're using, and they have incredible innovation like the Futurecraft Loop sneaker. This is the world's first recyclable sneaker that can be ground down and a new sneaker made in its place right there and then. So incredible innovation from Adidas, and just goes to show you what happens when you can put purpose at the heart of your business model. I'll end with a few thoughts. Right now, we've been through phase 1 of the COVID crisis, the immediate response. We've been in the relief phase right now where companies are providing fulfillment and connection. I believe we're entering phase 3, which is the rebuild phase, which is about building back better than we had before. And this is really where purpose comes in. We believe purpose is the key to reboot companies. And in rebooting companies, we have the opportunity to reboot categories and capitalism itself. It may surprise you to know corporations have more resources than government. This is Professor Michael Porter at Harvard. Government 3.1 trillion, nonprofits 1.2 trillion, corporations 20.1 trillion. Imagine being able to leverage all of that wealth and resources in fixing some of the biggest problems in the world. As our friend Lisa Ukman likes to say, we are moving beyond corporate social responsibility into corporate social opportunity. What if the business model for companies was making money not by causing problems in the world, but by solving them? In doing this as a leader, it's truly important to think about your own values and how you drive your value. The same goes for those companies out there as well. And all of this, I hope, will lead you to believe what we truly believe. Purpose is the new digital, as Max Landerman says. It is the next big competitive advantage that you can choose to embrace or see your competition embrace behind you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you to Ipsos. I hope you'll check out the book, and I hope you'll enjoy what comes next in this purpose revolution that we're in the middle of.